G'day folks, in this video I'll show you how you can solve this MF8 4 circle faces cube. It's been a while since my last video and I have just not had a chance to get anything done until now. I actually figured this one out back in March of this year, but I have not had a single weekend available since then. So really happy that I can do it now. I've been looking forward to doing this one. It's a difficult puzzle. It's obviously not the official MF8 one because it doesn't have the MF8 stickers. However, I don't know if you can squint in the light there, but these are MF8 pieces. This has been constructed from other MF8 cubes, and it happens to be a crazy two-face cube as well. In fact, the crazy two faces came out, and then about 6 months later, MF8 released their four circle faces cube. And this one is really, really difficult. When I first had a look at it many years ago, I just could not make any headway with it. And the only reason I've been able to now is because I've approached it from the point of view of a crazy two-face. So it's crazy two-face Venus 2n, which means it's a Venus cube. And normally a Venus cube would have all the circle faces on the center, zero faces there, and it would have one faces top and bottom. But the 2n means there are two non-linear two faces. In other words, top and bottom are just like Rubik's Cube faces. Now, those top and bottom faces will turn no matter what's on them, but the side faces, which are zero faces, will not turn if there is even one Rubik's Cube type piece on it. That's what makes this so difficult. So I'm hoping to take you through the method that I've come up with and make it fairly straightforward. I mean, it is a difficult puzzle, so it's not going to be a 2-second job, but we'll see how we go. The most difficult part is the initial part of getting the 8 corners, the 8 yellow/white corners into their positions. And that's what I'm going to try and do now. And the initial thing that I will try and do is just work with what I've got and try and fill pairs up to fill a face, if you like. I do want to try and get a corner and an edge together up onto a face. So something like this would be good to turn up. So would something like this. But you can see that I've got a problem because of all these other pieces. And so as I do this, it may seem like I'm kind of not doing anything, but it might be my brain ticking over thinking. I notice no matter what I do here, I've got these pieces in the way. I've got the same sort of thing around here. So I'm really trying to free up a side face, which I might be able to do now. Okay, that's good. That's a side face freed, which means I can turn this somewhere if I want. And that looks like a pretty decent place to turn it. Let's see what else I've got. I've got these three that I could turn except for that. Now the clear side face is over here at the moment because I can happily do that. The question is, can I get anything in a position to use that? Sometimes it's just a case of turning it up, having a look from the other direction. And I will stress, once these corners are done, the rest of it is comparatively straightforward, even though there's algorithms to use. Okay. What I might do here is just say, well, nothing's making a lot of sense there. And I should have mentioned, I'm not really trying to get the edges, although it's good if I can, but they're not essential at this point. Okay, that's looking a little better. I've actually only got 2 corners left to do. 1, 2, which is fantastic. The question is whether they are going to be in the right sort of place. What I'm really wanting for corners is to have the 2 white or yellow corners here with the white and yellow stickers here at front down left and front down right, and I can then take them or twist them into position, but I do need two clear side faces in order to do that. So at the moment, I don't quite have that, so I'm still going to continue seeing what I can do. 1, 2, 3, 4, but that's potentially better in terms of side faces. Some of this stuff I may end up doing something that I think is novel, and I've actually put it back to where it used to be. Can't always tell with that. This is looking pretty good, I have to say. And what I might do is just say what would happen. And that is part of the problem, is that I don't want, because I want two opposite faces clear, I don't really want to have an edge piece, can't speak, on this face and this face, because they are adjacent. If I've got to have an edge piece somewhere, I'd rather have it on this face. So doing that turn, although it might seem good, it's not necessarily that good. Let's see if I can. Now that's the problem with that piece. I was going to turn this down. No, there's yellows everywhere there. Yeah, they're still not opposite, which is not good. Let's consider what would happen if I... Oh, this is looking far more promising because I actually only have one edge piece sitting there now. Okay. Now, you'll notice that that edge piece just goes here, and I've only got the two corners. This is very, very normal and standard. You just have a little fiddle, and eventually this sort of thing will happen. And what I want to try and do is get both of these corners into, as I said, these two positions here if I can. Now at the moment, normally I would just say, well, I'll turn that around and move it down, but I can't because of this piece. Let's turn it upside down and see if anything makes a difference. What I can try in order to do that is just to put this here initially, then turn it down and see what that does. And that has worked really nicely. Okay, so what I've got is now the two yellow-white stickers in these positions here, and I've got nothing on this face, so I can turn this face. I've got nothing on this face, so I can turn this face, and that now means I can do a 5-move sequence to get these rotated. That sequence is right, up to, left, up to, right prime. And you'll notice now that all the corners are twisted. And that's the sort of thing I want to do. Now there is one little situation, it might even come up later during another part, but it's the situation where you might have one of your corners here with the white sticker and the other white sticker, instead of being here, it's on the back. Now, it just so happens that all the yellow corners are on the yellow face. In fact, all these yellow edges are. That is not the goal, and I don't care about that. It's not going to matter at the moment. The next thing that I want to do is place any circle edges into the correct faces, or at the very least, the opposite faces. And what I mean by that is that this is a blue circle edge sitting here, but it belongs on the adjacent face. That's no good. This green one, I either want to place it into the blue face or the green face. It doesn't really matter. Let's say that I want to place it down here, and you'll note that the red is also in a position on an adjacent face. So that's not good either. So what I want to do here for this is, and I use this move a lot, it's an R, U2, R prime, U2. That's my basis or basic move. And I'm going to cycle these 3 pieces. And what that's going to do, obviously, is put the green circle edge into the position here. It's It's going to move this yellow one across, fantastic, and it's going to get the red circle edge up to the top so I can then place that. So I just want to do it 5 times, and the only thing I need is to make sure that this right face is clear of yellow and white pieces, which it is, so I can turn it. Okay, so we want to do right up to right prime up to 5 times. Last one. Of course, you don't really need to do the last up to if you don't want to, but you'll notice all of the corners are back into position, which is what we want, and that green circle edge is placed there. I can now grab the red one and say, all right, let's go place that red one into here. It'll bring the green one up so I can place that one as well. Okay, there we go. That red one is in. The green circle edge now needs to go down to here. That's good because it's going to take an orange one out. Well, this time the movement is going along the left, and so I'm going to be turning the left face instead of the right face, which means I need the left face clear. Now, that's potentially a slight issue, but I can just do that, just to get that out of the way. And then that green will go in place here as I want. So if this is coming down along the left face, then it is the left face that turns up, not the right face. So it's left prime, up to, left, up to 5 times. That's in. The next one we have is orange. And again, you'll notice the orange has got to go here. That blue is in an adjacent face. So every time we're putting a correct one in, we're actually bringing a wrong one out as well, which is really what we want. So the orange will go down here. That's clear. Away we go. And I think you'll realize, as much as it is a 20 move sequence, it's very, very simple, and it's not something to get perturbed about. It's pretty straightforward to do, and it makes a lot of sense. So where are we now? We've got a blue that's got to go into a blue slot. So this time it'll come around like that. And so I'm going to use the right face. The blue's in. That gives me a red one, which has got to come down into the red face. And I should say, you could try and do other things, sort of simpler things, but what I've found is it's just far easier when you have pieces that are on adjacent faces just to do this, because it's such a simple thing to carry out. So red coming down here. Now that'll bring that blue one out, which will be the last one that I need to then place before that orange will go over to here. So coming down the left, there's the blue. Now again, the blue's got to come down here, but this white one is in the way. That is a slight issue. However, I think I can just do that, and you'll notice that it hasn't affected that orange piece, which is what I want to put the blue into, and that's the beauty of this sort of thing. Okay, so the blue's coming down on the left. All right, now I did turn that over, so I can turn it back if I want, just to show that the red's there. I've now got the orange that's going to come down here, and that'll bring the last white piece out, and it'll place all of these circle edges. Here we go. All of the central circle edges are now done. And of course, these upper and lower circle edges can't really move anywhere. So at worst, you're just turning two faces, two turns on each one to put them back into their position. So that's looking quite a bit better already. Those circle edges are now done. I've got white and yellows all over the place on top and bottom. That's fantastic. What's next? Next is we want to look at the outer edges. Now the thing about the outer edges, I want to do the middle layer first, and you'll notice very clearly here that I have a flip of an outer edge. That green red should be flipped around. I'm going to find that there'll be another one that also needs to flip. Can't instantly tell which one it is, so what I might do is see if I can just solve. I think that's going to be okay, the blue red going over there. So I'll just do a simple edge piece series just to put that one in position. There it is, and that clearly shows those are the two that need to flip. I'm never going to have one that needs to flip. Now this is probably the longest algorithm of the whole thing, I guess, and it's still pretty straightforward, and I'll try and explain what I'm doing as I do it. First thing is I want the pieces to flip to be in front left and back right position. Those two outer edges are the ones that need to flip. Here's my front face, my up and my right face. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is grab this piece at the back right, and I'm going to move it to here, but it's going to flip as it moves to here. Once I've done that, I'm going to bring this other piece that needs to flip into its position and undo all the stuff that I just did. That's essentially what's happening. So how do I move this to here and flip it? Well, I want to use the workhorse algorithm and the 𝑟𝑢2 𝑟'𝑢2 in a slightly different way. Here we go. So I want to firstly go right, up to, right prime, up to. I then want to turn the cube around and do a U prime before I do the opposite. In other words, a U2 right prime. I then want to turn the cube back and undo that U prime with a U. And finally, I want to do a right, up to, right prime, up to. Now what you'll notice is that that red-green piece has now been flipped. You can see it because the red is now matching with the red face. The green is matching with the green center there. That's pretty straightforward. There's the other one. So I do a front two to put the other one into position. And now I undo what I just did. And here's what I do to undo what I just did. Instead of doing a right up to, I do a up to, right prime. I then turn it around and do my up prime. And then I'll do the right, up to, right prime, up to. Turn the cube back with the U-turn and then finish with an up to, right prime. Now I did do a front two at the end and just in the middle, and for completeness I will do that front two again, but you'll recall that at the beginning I actually did a two-turn move in order to get the two pieces where I need them to be. So if I undo them, I'll have all the circle edges back where they belong, and you can see now that those two pieces are in fact flipped. Now, what we've got here is a swap of two outer edges in the middle layer. Fortunately, that is super simple to deal with. I do actually want them in these front positions, and all I want to do is put both of them up to the top, turn the upper face two turns, bring both of them back around, and then turn the upper face two turns. And you'll see they are now in position, and in fact that entire central layer is done. The circle edges, the outer edges, everything. So where are we? We've got all the circle edges done. We've got the middle layer outer edges done. We are now, believe it or not, on the road to home. What we want to do next is do the outer edges on top and bottom. This is extremely simple, and it's just normal edge piece series. And so what have we got here? I would just look for anything that I can place. There's a yellow green that's already in position. There's a, let's see where the yellow red is, see if I can get that. It's down the bottom here. So 1, 2, 3, that's the third piece that needs to come up here. So I would do something like turn that down, turn it on, undo, undo. That yellow red is in position and all good. Got a yellow orange, which is there, that I'd like to put into that position. So I'll turn the position on, put the yellow orange on, undo, undo. And I like getting 3 of one color. I can now use this to go ahead and start placing the others up here. So these will be whites. I'm first looking for the white green to go back there, and it's in this position. So it's 1, 2, 3 pieces involved. That's in. Got a white red there. Yep, that one's here. So I'll just use these 3 to place that. So bring the white red down to here first, put the position on, return the white red, undo. Very, very simple 4-move sequence. And then I'll have my last 3 pieces. Now you'll notice that the yellow blue is correct, and I have a swap of pieces up here. To be honest, I'm very glad this happened, because I don't need to now set up for it. I was going to set up for it if it didn't occur. But you certainly can get a swap of 2 outer edges. And what that also means is, I'm not sure if I remember saying at the beginning that I would show you how to deal with a couple of corners. I can't remember or not, but I am going to show you another thing to do here. So in order to deal with this swap of outer edges, what I want to do is simply turn a side face 1 turn like that. That has fixed the swap of the outer edges. However, you can see I've got some corners to solve. So the first thing with the corners that I'll do is I'll grab this one, bring it to here and down to here. So I've got these 2 in position. Okay, so now these 2 are in position. I've got the side faces clear. I can do that same move I did at the start, which was right, up to, left, up to, right prime. And now I've only got 2 corners left. Now here's the issue with these 2 corners. One of them's here, the other one's back here. And it's not really possible just to do with simple turns of getting this one over to this position. Because you might say, well, can't I just turn it around to there and then bring it to here? No, I've got stuff going on. So what I want to do here is turn this slice to here. I believe this is an M move. So I want to do an M slice turn. And I'm going to turn the front face. And this corner will go to here. And then return my M. Now, the reason that that is handy is because now I can turn this to there or this to here. Let's turn this over to here. And I have these 2 corners on the correct positions. I can just turn it upside down. These are now ready to go in place. Right, up to, left, up to, right prime. The corners are all back. I've got to work through whatever else I had here, and that means thinking about any edges. I'm looking at my circle edges. Well, I've got to get this green circle edge down to there first. So I'll do that in the same way that I would do normally. That's going to come down on the left, so I've got to turn the left. That one's done. And then I've got the blue to do. That's coming down on the right. Now, the thing to note about this is to fix that swap. You remember that I turned a side face one turn. Through all of this, I have not done a single side face turn. In other words, I've always done an even number of side face turns. So that swap, the fix of the swap, has been maintained, which is good. Okay, now what have I got here? I've got a couple of outer edges in the middle layer to swap. Well, we know how to do that. Turn them up to the top, turn the upper face, bring them back down. That's good. Where are we now? We're back to solving these outer edges. So that, yes, they're done. Let's have a look up here. Got to put a white orange back to there. So I might just set up and use these three. And then that goes back into position. That white green is done. And now what I'm going to find is that instead of a swap, I have a 3 cycle. So the white red goes here, yellow red goes to the bottom, and the white blue comes up to here. You can see that all in all was fairly non-painful dealing with that swap of 2 outer edges. And we really are on the home road here. So let's have a look. What is next is to do the circle corners. We only have circle corners and outer corners to do. The circle corners, again, it's going to use the right up to, right prime up to, but it's going to use 3 of them this time. And what I'm looking for, there's going to be a set of what I'm calling right hand ones and a set of left hand ones. And I'll just find one that might be useful to demonstrate. Let's try the other side. Oh, not even one in position. So there we go. Okay, so we'll improvise here. Let's see if we've got that blue one going to there. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. Here's my front face. On the back face, in the upper position, there is a blue circle corner. I would like to, what's going to happen is that's going to come down to this position here. Now, I don't really want it to place in that position because that's orange. So I wouldn't mind it placing there. And so I'll just set up by turning the lower face down like that. And that blue circle corner will now come and place correctly here. Now, the really nice thing about this is that this circle corner will then go either to here, or to here, or to here, depending on which one of them I turn in. So I can really go, well, what's sensible? And in this case, the sensible thing would be to turn the orange, or move the orange circle corner to here. And what that means is that that is my 3rd piece, and that piece is turned in to this position halfway through. Probably sounds slightly complicated. It's not. Let me show you what's going on. So because this is on the right hand side, that blue is going to come down here first. In order to get that down there, I do, as I said, 3 of these. Okay, you'll notice there's that blue circle corner. Now, as I said, the other piece that I want to involve was this one, and that therefore now turns across, and I undo the initial moves. So instead of right up to, right prime up to, it's up to, right prime times 3. That's done. And then technically I would, turn this back to where it was. However, you can see that everything's come back nicely because I had a setup at the beginning. That blue has been placed, that orange has been placed, and there was another blue that ended up back here. Okay, let's have a look for another one. That green doesn't want to go there. I've got a red. All the reds seem to be filled, so what I'm looking at here, by the way, is, for example, I've got a green here, so I would think to myself, well, that's going to come down to that position. But if I turn that, that already has a green. And that happened for every single one of them. So now I'm going to turn it upside down and see if I can get any joy looking at it from here. I can't, so I will now look at some of the left ones. And those other ones will come out in a minute, but we'll see how we go here. All right, I've got a blue piece on the left. That is going to come down to this position, which is red. and I would like this red to go there. And so that is my third piece. That is what I'm turning into there halfway through. So it's going to go blue to here, which is good, red to here, which is good, and the green will come back to here. So I'll get 3 of these placed at once. So because I'm on the left, it's just the mirror, and so it's left prime up to left up to times 3. That blue's been done. I now turn the third piece in and undo. And that red has now been placed. When I return that, you'll see there, there, and there have all been placed. Let's see what else I've got. I've got a green sitting here, which I could get to there if I wanted. But the orange. Okay, I've got an orange sitting here, which will go to a red. Now, where can that go? There is a blue here. That's probably the only one, so I might just try and do the orange to the red initially. That'll go to the blue, which will place up here, which I don't really want, but I will get the orange done. So that's fine. That back, the orange is done. I've got the blue up here now. However, that's filled, so that's not super useful. What else is here? I've got a green. Can that be useful? The green going to the red. Now, where would I like to place that? All the other slots are filled. So now what I would do is say, well, that green could go to here. The red would go to there, which is good because it keeps it filled, and that red would come up to the top. So maybe that's what I do. I don't create any further problems, and that sounds like a pretty good plan. Bring that one in. And return it. Okay, very easy to see what needs to be returned here. You can see things are looking better. In fact, all of the bottom's done. That's not necessarily the sort of thing I want, but it'll do. Let's see what I can do here. I note on the right, I have a blue piece here, which I wouldn't mind going over to that position. So I either have a choice of saying, well, this is red, so I could turn this around, and there's my red piece, which will come and fill it. Alternatively, I could leave that there and say that's an orange. The blue will go to here, and this orange will come up and refill the orange. So maybe I'll just do that because it's simpler. So I will end up with an orange piece down here, but the other two will be placed. So I just need to remember that is my third piece over there. Okay, that's done. Bring it in and now undo. Put it back and we're good. Okay, what's next? We've got a similar sort of thing, the green to the red here, and so that red will probably go to there. So the red will come down to the bottom, the green will place, and that red will place. So instead of having two out, let me just check this is going to work. That'll be in. That'll be in. Yes, I'll only have one. So it's only doing one piece at a time, but unfortunately, this is the sort of thing that does sometimes happen. Not much I can do. bring it in and undo. Okay, 5 to go. Now, again, you'll notice that the blue can go over to here and that orange can go up to there. I can potentially also look at doing other things. And for example, I could turn that one around and now I've got an orange circle corner up there to use if I want. So I could look at doing stuff like that. And I do have a red one down here. The problem is moving that up to the top. I do sort of push that out. However, that may not be the end of the world. But it's also one of those things where it's probably too many setup moves and I'll probably muck something up. So let's keep it simple. So let's come back here. The blue one is going to there. I've got an orange one sitting in that position, so that is fine. What have I got? 1, 2, 3, 5 to go. Okay, so we'll do that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 to go now. You can see it is actually doing them. It's just, this is probably the longest I've ever had on this sort of puzzle. Just doing one at a time. Normally they'll go at least 2 at a time. So yeah, apologies for that. I suppose it's my scramble. What have we got now? We have a couple of, this is an orange position. Yes, this looks good. Okay, so what I would do here is I want to fill this with an orange and then move the red around to that position at the back. So in order to fill this with an orange, I'm going to turn the upper face around to the back. So I now have an orange circle corner sitting there. Now what you'll notice that's also interesting is that orange will come and fill this correctly. The red is going to go around to there and that orange will go and replace the one that was used. So that is ideal. So I've just a setup move of a U2 there, and it's on the left, and I've got to turn the one at the back into position. So it's going to be a down 2 in the middle. Okay, that's done. Let's get that other one into position and then undo. Okay, turn it back. We had a setup at the start. We should now find there's only 2 to do, and that's looking like a swap, but it's going to be the same sort of thing there. So I might go along the right this time, and again, if I put that into position, the red comes to there, the orange goes to the back, and that red comes up to finalize. And I should say also, you might have picked up, there's a U2 in the middle that, in fact, there's 2 U2s that I don't really need to do, but I always do them just for completeness because it throws the rhythm otherwise in my brain. So you could cut down the move count a little bit if you wanted. All right, this one is along the right. So here we go. That's done. Bring the last one in and undo. That is done. There we go. Undo the setup. And finally, all of those circle corners are done. And that means it's only outer corners to do. And this is a move that I learnt multiple years ago, and it's simply the corner piece series for cuboids. It just means that I'm turning the upper face, but then I'm turning my side face 2 turns rather than 1 turn when I do it. So I would look here and just see. Yeah, well, let's start. I've got to get the white, blue, orange over to here. I want that to roll across there. And so my piece movement is going to be this across to here. And then this piece is going to go up to the back here. So it's a similar sort of thing to the circle corners. That piece there is currently a yellow, blue, orange. If I could, I would place a white, blue, red in that position so that it also places. And in fact, I do have a white, blue, red sitting there. So I can get that done and this one done as well, just with that setup move. So that's a good thing to do. And it's over, this is kind of a little bit like the reverse, I suppose. It's over on the right-hand side, and so my first turn is going to be up prime, left 2, up, right 2, repeat. That's it. That's the whole thing. You can see that's solved, that's solved. I'll undo the setup. I'll go again. I've got white, green, red that wants to come over to here. I could do the white, green, orange. I don't actually want to do that this time because it will leave me no unsolved corners on one face, which is not ideal. So what I might do is go yellow, green, red. Where's that going? Well, that's supposed to go to here, but if I do put that there, this will go, and I don't really want that. Actually, no, it's not. Yellow, green, red. I could, yep, even better. I'll happily turn that into position. That will work nicely. That's done under the setups. Now I've got 3 white corners done and I've got 2 yellow corners, and that means there's only 1, 2, 3 to go. And I haven't had to use an upper turn clockwise one here, but it's just the mirror of what I've been doing. This is going to be another one of upper turn anti-clockwise first. So the yellow, blue, orange will come in place, the yellow, blue, red will come in place, and this one will go back here. And you're not going to get anything like a swap of 2 outer corners at the end here. There we go. That is done, and that is a very, very nice sight to see that thing solved. As I said at the start, when I first looked at this, I had no real clue, and now I think I've got a fairly decent clue, and I hope that helps. And if you haven't played with yours for a while and you were never sure about it, well then pull it out, have a look, give it a twist, and see what you think. Hope you enjoyed the method, and as always, thanks for watching.